Hello everyone and welcome! The story of League of Legends can be found scattered across many different platforms and media. We got champion bios, scholar stories, or as I like to call them short stories, region stories, comics, cinematics, teasers, and interactions with other champions. But sometimes, certain members of Riot's narration team can answer lore questions in their free time. One of these amazing Rioters is CZECH, also known as Riot Jaredan, who, besides being a member of our Discord community, spent a lot of his time as lead narrative editor. So if there is a person who knows the universe of League of Legends, it's this guy. And fortunately for us, Scott has a Ask.fm account, where he answers story questions whenever he can. And today I would love to have a look at some of them. But before we do, remember that his answers are technically not official. Although he is a member of Riot's narrative team, so he would have no reason to lie about the world. Remember that his words are not official, and in the worst case, things can still change. So with that said, let's have a look at some of the more interesting reveals. What happened to C in Caitlyn's lore? Who is C? Has C been released? Or is the story dead? I think if you do some investigation, there are some big clues out there. And the story is certainly not dead. This is an awesome way of saying that if you dig into the story far enough, you can find the answer. For those of you who don't know, there is a criminal in Piltover who is known as C. He is basically the mastermind behind some of the more impactful crimes in the city, and he is Caitlyn's rival. People speculated that this mysterious C could be Camille, but I honestly doubt it. Camille and Caitlyn have the same goals but through different means. Camille is not afraid of taking things into her own hands and simply killing high-value criminals when the chance arrives. Also, remember that a lot of people don't even know Camille's name. She is known as the Grey Lady and I doubt she would want to reveal her name. So right now, I believe that this C could be a side character which we have heard about in another story. Alternatively, because C was able to rob 2 stores in quick succession, I believe it could be Twisted Fate, since we don't know his family name yet. So for me, this is something I have to look into. What would happen if Xerath was unbound? Instability and explosion? Going crazier than ever? Or a being that is far beyond mortal comprehension? And how much does Sarcophagus limit himself? 30%? 10%? I think I would like to be on a different continent if that happens. This is awesome, because this is the first time we have ever gotten an answer to the power of some of these champions. And fortunately, Xerath is still exactly where I thought he would be on my scale of champion power. He is nowhere near the real gods like Aurelion or whatever is in the void, but he can still make every living being on Runeterra kneel before him. And this absolutely makes sense. Unlike the other Ascended, Xerath forcefully took all the power the Sun Disk could offer, practically infusing his body with so much power all the physical matter got replaced with pure arcane energy. It is only because of the magical sarcophagus that his power is limited. Now we know that if he broke free from the prison, he could wipe out the entire Valoran, which is a huge continent by the way. This reminds me that other continents are still a thing. It is possible that Riot may reveal another continent on Runeterra. After all, so far we have only seen half of this world. This is something Scott's answer could be sneakily hinting. I really want to know Gangplank's real name and what happens after Burning Tides. Is Riot going to revisit Bilgewater in near future? Gangplank does have a real name, Citrus McPeel. In all seriousness, I believe we will revisit Bilgewater and continue and complete the story we started with Burning Tides: The Reckoning. I'm a bit passionate about that. This question was asked before we got Miss Fortune's comic, but still, this answer confirms that the Burning Tides story will be completed, meaning that Miss Fortune will have to unite Bilgewater and there will be one final war against Gangplank. This one made me think about the future of Gangplank. Everyone thinks he's dead, he has no allies now. And his closest friend is the Kraken Priestess. I really wonder who will Gangplank get on his side if a war is about to go out. Maybe a twist is coming and maybe he will seek friends within the Black Mist. But then again, I don't think Illaoi would be happy about it. And that's why this twist would be amazing. How much will Gangplank sacrifice to get back his crown? Where does Talias Magic come from? Oh, how I wish I could answer this. But I can't, for reasons. Big juicy spoilery reasons. This one is yet another awesome tease. So by the time Thalia was released, Riot had already an idea of how magic works in Runeterra. This means that the Great Weaver isn't just an open window to be filled later down the line. Riot already knows who this protector of the desert tribes and the source of Talias magic is. Obviously, the first character we could point at is Malphite. His story hasn't been fully implemented into the universe yet, so he could be the Great Weaver, but that would be quite a simple story. Maybe Malphite is just the chosen of the Great Weaver, and maybe the Great Weaver is not a mystical godlike being at all. Maybe it's just a normal creature which spreads magic through the spirit realm. There are many different ways Riot could go with this, but the important part is that they already know. Now it is up to us to find out what the Great Weaver is. Ever thought about releasing a chronology to the events that happened in the lore or stories? I'll take a guess and say that the Ornn one would be the first, at least for now. As we build more stories, we build more history and a timeline to go with it. I'm not sure about player phasing yet, or if there will ever be something that's a day-to-date calendar. But I know bioluminescence is driving on internal mapping. One day, when we've got something a bit more fleshed out, it's not out of the question. This is something we already knew Riot is working on. We know that one day we will get a timeline with all the events of the universe. And with a lot of digging, you can make one right now as well. The problem is, one would go insane if they try to connect all the cross-references in all the stories released so far. As an example, just try to sort out the timeline of the main events. Fall of Shurima, Foundation of Demacia, Siege of the Immortal Bastion, the Blessed Isles Ruination, and that's just the basic region history. Champions would have to get a timeline of their own. So to sum this question up, yes, it seems like we're getting a proper timeline once everything gets sorted out. But there is a lot of work to go through. If the ruination on the Blessed Isles has eliminated all life, and just things of undeath and spirits wander it, where does Vilemaw come into play? Surely the Arachnoid would have been killed if it was present on the Isles at the time of the ruination. Vilemaw isn't any regular life form, and there are specific reasons why the fall of the Blessed Isles didn't apply. Sorry, I can't give specifics yet. I believe this is something we may explore with the coming Noxus update. Vilemaw is connected to Elise, and Elise is connected to the Black Rose. Also, Vilemaw seems to be affected by the infinite life or blood magic. This is yet another reason why it could be mentioned in Noxus. And again, Riot already knows the reasoning behind Vilemaw, and again it is up to us to figure it out. I doubt we have enough information about it right now. But in the future, Vilemaw is something we should definitely keep an eye on. What champions are not, legally by the US standards if you feel more comfortable, allowed to buy some Greggy ice? Annie, Lux and Galio. Galio is old enough, it's just no one wants to see what happens if he gets drunk. This confirms that Lux is not 21 years old. And, unless they were forgotten, Echo and Thalia are. And our last question for today: what do you think about the idea of non-champion character pages on Universe? I like the idea. It would just mean that we would have to clearly distinguish the differences between non-champion and champions, until they became champions, which I would love to see happen. This is something I really want to see happen as well. There are so many cool side characters in the universe already. First ones that come to my mind are Raven from the Burning Tides and the crew from the City of Iron and Glass. I think Riot already developed few side characters into something bigger, and I still think that some of them will eventually turn into champions. Right now it is just a matter of time until it happens, because honestly, this would be one of the best tools for character development. But that's it for this video. I really enjoyed going through these questions, so let me know if you wanna see more of this. Again, these answers are not officially from Riot as a company, but they are the words of one of the masterminds. So, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to rate it and subscribe for more lore. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Discord if you'd like to chat. Our P.O.Box, merch and the second channel will be down in the description. Also, massive shout out to our patrons. Thank you guys so much for going the extra mile. And with that, thank you all so much for being here and for your support, you know I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you come again.